Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Randana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Randana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakaacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakaacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So we did the one about the sun. Soham Apsukanteya. Didn't we? I think we did. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this third day of October 2022 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are now in chapter 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. And we're on text 9 in the middle of page 314. And who has the funny book? Anyway, you can find it 7-9 in the middle of the gutter at the top. Punyo Gandha. You got it? Page 114? 314? 314. Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prativyangcha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasao Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu. Not yet? Bob? You're okay. You want to try? All right. Next time. Anyone out there on Zoom? No. Okay. I'll read the synonyms. Punyaha, original. Gandhaha, fragrance. Pradivyan, in the earth. Cha, also. Tejaha, heat. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Vibhavasao, in the fire. Jivanam, life. Sarva, in all. Bhuteshu, living entities. Tapaha, penance. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Tapasvishu, in those who practice penance. Translation. Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Purport. Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has a certain fragrance, as the fragrance in a flower, or in the earth, in water, in fire, in air. The uncontaminated fragrance, the original fragrance, which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So everything has some original fragrance and taste. Vibhavasao means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories, we cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to a low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So what is going on here now in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna began this chapter by saying that, now listen to me, Arjun. The last word in the first verse is Shrinu, which means hear, text 1. And Maya Sakta Manapata Yogam Janjamarashi, it says, I'm going to give you a way of having your mind become attached to me. Because in the previous chapter, he gave a very kind of technical system called Ashtanga Yoga, right? Eight steps, beginning with Yama, not doing certain things, and Niyama, doing certain things, sitting. Everyone's seen the yogi, very popular by now, sitting, and Krishna says, back straight, and eyes between the eyebrows. I can never do that. And breathing. The breathing is next, pranayama. All of this goes to like control the mind. He says where to go, to isolated place, a sacred place, away from the hurly-burly of the cities. He's describing it in summary form. And then when you're sitting there and direct the attention within and think of me within the heart, form a super soul like that. So he gave this system of yoga to Arjuna, described it. And Arjuna at the end, he says, I don't think I can do this. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balabhadram tasyaham nivagham manye vayavijataduskaram. What did he compare the mind to? The wind, a raging wind. We just saw in Florida, you can't stop it. It's too powerful. You know, it just can destroy so many things. There's no question of stopping the wind. So he's comparing the mind to the wind, raging wind. Chantalam, very restless, very obstinate, very powerful. To stop it is like trying to stop the wind. So what's the point of going through all that effort if you can't do it? So Krishna answers, says, yes, it is difficult, but it's possible through practice, through detachment and through careful practice according to what I've taught you. So Arjun is still not very optimistic that he can do it personally. And so what happens if I fail? I've given up my position in the material world. I've cut my ties. I'm just gone off to some secluded place to meditate. But then, due to worldly mindedness or whatever, you fall down. What's the fate? You know, now I have no position in either sphere. I've lost my chance to get material happiness, and I failed in getting spiritual success. What's the point? I'm like a riven cloud, a little cloud that breaks off and just dissipates. So Krishna encourages him. He says, no. You never lose any progress you make on the spiritual side. He already said that in the second chapter. And one of the most encouraging verses in the whole book is in the second chapter, which is right at the beginning. Neha bhukamanashosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpamapya siddhamasya trayate mahato bayat. So he says, my dear Arjuna, in this practice, Krishna consciousness, yoga, bhakti yoga, there is never any loss and never any diminution. Well, how can that be? We know that in the material side, you may become a billionaire, a millionaire, whatever, become a famous artist, a famous athlete, whatever. But as soon as you die, it's all done. It's finished. Big deal. You may have a monument or a plaque somewhere, but how does that help you? You lost everything. But in spiritual advancement, it's not like that, because the spirit never dies. So you, the spirit, the soul, you carry with you whatever advancement you may make. Because after all, the advancement all has to do with your subtle body. You remember how Krishna emphasizes the mind in the last chapter? He says, Uddadet atmanatmanam natmanam abhasariyet atma vyapano bundor atma vipuratmanaha. The mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. If your mind is on me, your mind is on Krishna, your mind is on Brahman, then it's your best friend. But if it's filled with all these material desires and fears and anxieties and grudges and all of these other things, it's your worst enemy. It's not you. You're not the mind. You're transcendental to the mind. Krishna has given a list. It says earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are all material, from gross to subtle. This is what this world is made of. except for the spirit, aside from the spirit, which he mentions in the next verse. So it doesn't take very long to understand that this is true, right? What do we say? With so much hard matter here, right? There's so many solid things. This is the bhumi, this is earth and transformations of earth. Water, our whole bodies, you learn in 5th grade, you know, it's like 67% water. You know, different liquids. If you don't drink enough water, you die. And not very far you go, you'll see there's a lot of water, right? Water is so essential to this creation. It's holding everything together. So there's water. Even this building, to make the cement, you got to have water, right? Water and earth mixed in. And then fire, electricity. Right, burning the fossil fuels. How are we going to get the energy? Well, you know, we could put too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so we have to find another way to get the energy. Okay, from the sun, we'll you know, do the turbines, and I think the nuclear thing will work, but that'll never work. Do you know that right up the coast here, where I always forget that place, is San Onofre. They had a nuclear power plant. Why is it right on the ocean? Because you have to constantly cool all of that uranium or cobalt or whatever they have, which is, you know, because it's reacting, radioactive. So you have to keep it enclosed, you have to cool it. So there's always a problem at the end when, you know, with the spent rods, you know, what are you going to do with the nuclear waste? Nobody wants it. They say, when they ship it off to Utah and put it all on the ground, there's a big thing. They said, Utah said, no, we don't want it, you know. You know where it is? They closed that down a few years ago. It hasn't been working for some time. It's right on the ocean. They have a way of storing it in these big metal things, but it's right on the ocean.
Here, next to San Diego?
It's up the coast, maybe 20, 30 miles, yeah, and San Onofre. You'll see if you drive up the coast, you see the two, you know, the characteristic.
Yes.
You know.
On the way to Laguna Beach.
Yeah, you see that. Yeah. It's not working anymore, you know, but it's dangerous if you don't keep those things cool, or if there's an earthquake, a tsunami, all of that stuff gets washed off. The whole place becomes uninhabitable right where we're sitting. So nuclear power is not going to work. So, but one way or another, you have to have a source of energy, and the energy originally comes from the sun, you know. So that's fire, right? We use it all the time in our own bodies, as he mentions here, the fire of digestion is acid, you know. So fire. Then what? Earth, water, fire, air. Obviously so important. We learned how important during this pandemic. Breathing air. You forget about it until you can't breathe so well. And then, so those are considered gross, even though they're more and more subtle. Then you get into really subtle elements, the mind. Each of us has a mind, we all know that, but you can't see it, you can't touch it. But it's a subtle element that we have. And then intelligence. We have a special, higher or more acute intelligence than the lower animals. They're also living beings. But they have a rudimentary intelligence. So they're not responsible. There's no karma for the lion when he goes and he catches that gazelle, you know, and eats it. Used to watch on Discovery Channel a long time ago. But there is for us, because we know, oh, there's a spirit soul in there, and I don't need to eat this, you know, gazelle or whatever it may be. I don't need to eat this meat. So we're misusing our intelligence for the lower self is controlling the higher self, as Krishna said. So then finally, the most subtle material element is the ego, the sense of self. And it's called the ahankar, or the false ego. Ahankar means I'm the doer. I'm an independent doer. Meaning this body, I'm doing everything, I'm controlling. You're not. We're completely dependent on the forces of nature. And you know, one little disease we get, we're laid out, we can't do anything. We're completely dependent. So ahankar is the false sense of ego, mainly around this body, gross and subtle. So this is the elements Krishna has described. So how does this fit into his promise that I'm going to tell you, maya sakta manaparta, how your mind can naturally be attached to me? Then you don't have to worry about going off into the Himalayas. We're sitting right here in the middle of San Diego, but everything we do is meant to focus the mind on Krishna and make us more attracted to Krishna. And it's easy because he's all attractive. The absolute truth, the Supreme Person, completely spiritual, is all attractive. That means if we simply chant His name and see His form and take a beautiful prasad and associate with the devotees, see the paintings, and chant Hare Krishna, then you'll become attracted, because it's natural. So this is the practical process of yoga he's describing now, beginning in the 7th chapter. Prabhupada will explain the middle 6 chapters are the essence of the Gita. And we're now embarking on that, and you'll see, and it culminates in the 12th chapter. What's the title of the 12th chapter? 12th chapter. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. So, he's systematically telling us. So now what do we do with this information? He's explained, first of all, that there's this lower and higher energies. The living entities are the higher energies, para prakriti or para shakti. And all of it comes from me. So I'm the source of all existence. There's nothing in existence except matter and spirit. Everything is a combination of matter and spirit. Now you may think, well, how is this particular microphone a combination of matter and spirit? Well, first of all, it took a spirit, an intelligent being, to fashion it, to plan it, design it, gather the elements, engineer it, and make so it works. That's one way that this is also a combination. But there's also another way, and that each of these elements is controlled by a great demigod. There's Bhumi for the earth, there's Varuna for the water, there's Vayu for the air, there's Agni for the fire, the ether, I'm not sure. Prakash. Akash. Yeah, that's what ether is, but is there an Akash Deva? Anyway, they're all controlled. And they're combinations. So the aggregate of earth is under the control of Bhumi. So there is a person behind everything. Everything is personal. This is what you learn, as opposed to everything being impersonal. Now there's this whole idea of artificial intelligence. We'll build these robots. They'll be able to do everything we can do, but they won't wear out as much. They won't, they won't complain.
No consciousness.
Yeah, they don't really have consciousness. But people are confusing that. Just like, they said, well, we'll just put the robots in the factory, then we won't have to pay these workers. Yeah, but who's going to buy the products you make?
Now they're having robotic coffee shops.
Yeah, and soon they'll have robotic customers too. The whole thing is a great illusion. It's a great illusion. This whole idea that the ultimate reality is the spirit. When you deny that, it creates disaster. So Krishna is explaining here, and he's saying that everything is coming from me. Mattak Pradanang Nanyat, very key verse number 7. That, O Kanga, there's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So the human form of life is searching out the essence of existence and focusing on that, and then reestablishing our relationship. It's a wonderful truth that the essence of all existence is the Supreme Person. That all of this impersonal matter that's not alive, this is artificial. This is providing a theater or a context for us to try to pretend to be God. But this is all, dead matter, and our own bodies are dead, except because we're inside, with spirit. So we want to get back to that world that is pure spirit, that is purely, made of complete spirit, and is fully blissful, eternal, and full of knowledge. That's what we're aiming at. Human life is meant for that purpose and that purpose alone. When we become deviated, and we try to establish all kinds of varieties of ways to enjoy, not just on the gross level, but also on the subtle level, that's illusion. You can never be happy that way. You may get a little bit of pleasure, there's no denying it, but that little bit of pleasure is your worst enemy. Because it convinces you that that's what I should work for and strive for. And if I can't get it, I'm depressed, I'm in anxiety, Okay. Whereas if you're not relying on your material environment for your encouragement and your pleasure, but you're rather finding the pleasure within. In the 5th chapter, there's an ocean of pleasure in there, because Krishna's there. And you see, when outside, you see everything is a manifestation of Krishna, which it is, because it's all earth, water, fire, air, ether, and he just explained that I'm the source of that. So logically speaking, there's nothing but Krishna in existence. Krishna and his energies. It's like you talk about the sun and the sunshine. They're very close, practically synonymous. Oh, open the curtains and let the sun in. No, I'll let the sunshine in. Yeah, that's what I mean. Right? In other words, you use it the same word because there's no meaning to the sun without the sunshine and vice versa. So Krishna is systematically explaining in a summary form how everything is him, either directly or by virtue of his energies, including our very selves. And when we see life and we have these experiences, which he's now explaining, text 8, and we read text 9 today. Rasoham, you're tasting water. Well, what is that? Don't just think, well, I'm slaking my thirst. This is Krishna's gift. Rasoham, I am the taste that you're experiencing when you taste the water. I am the light of the sun and the moon. Well, we experience that all the time. So I don't just see the sun and the moon, it's very nice, but this is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. So the point is, everything in existence and all your experiences can remind you of Krishna. But it only works when you're trying to use that energy, whatever we can bring for in Krishna's service. As soon as you try to exploit it for your own pleasure, then the curtain comes down, the curtain of Maya, and you forget all about Krishna. People come to this beach, right, in the summertime, packed, they come and just loll around the beach and the surfing and everything. So they're not thinking, oh, this surfing experience I'm having, this is Krishna. No. They're forgetting all about Krishna. I'm enjoying this surfing. I'm enjoying this water. What a nice sunny day. Let's go lie on the beach. It's all false ego. I'm the enjoyer. I'm the controller. But then it comes to an end. Oh, we got to go get some lunch, go back home. So, and then tomorrow, oh my God, it's Monday, I got to go to work. It doesn't last. It's flickering. But the pleasure of Krishna consciousness can be steady because never at any time are you separate from Krishna. Never at any time is there not an impetus for remembering Krishna. And we've been given such a wonderful gift, the holy name, Hare Krishna mantra, anytime you can call on it. You see? And be in Krishna's presence, be reminded of Krishna. And your relationship and the ocean of bliss. He's wanting you to come back and taste that happiness again. So, last verse was Rasoham Apsakunte, I'm the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, I'm the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, I'm the very sound in ether, and present verse, I'm the fragrance of the earth, I'm the fragrance in all the things that the earth produces. These flowers that this wonderful tree here we pick and we offer to Krishna and then we take all these fragrances, this is Krishna's gift. And the fire, the heat and fire, right? Tejas, the heat and fire. And the life of all that lives, and the austerity of the ascetics. So these are all qualities. Krishna is claiming this is all possible because of my creation. So we're never out of his presence, although we have the option to forget him if we want to try to enjoy his creation. Any comments on these points? Yes, Prabhu.
So, it's slow. This is the, as you mentioned, Krishna's creation and Krishna's gift, and you were also talking about the devas who are controlling the air, the fire, and everything. Why is that they are not trying to preserve that in a way that is untouched by us?
You mean why the devas?
The devas are not trying to preserve it in the pure.
Well, they're kind of functionaries. They're like government officials, and they have a certain assignment, like Indra, to manage the weather and everything. And they're not pure devotees. They have there's a certain desire there to control. That's why they're given that post. They're devotees, but mixed, karma mishra bhakti, So that's why they get into trouble. They really want to, enjoy their kingdom, their heavenly planets, and although they recognize Krishna as supreme, but it's mixed. But because they want to enjoy, therefore, periodically, the demons, who are also very powerful, there's fights. You see in the Bhagavatam, huge fights up in the heavenly sphere. So it's not the best place to practice pure devotion. This place is better, this earthly planet, because it's not totally hellish, although you can find places that are pretty hellish. But by and large, if you want, you can establish, a place like this temple, and there are temples all over the world, where you can cultivate devotional service, but at the same time, you can understand, it's temporary. And I know from experience, because I had this disease and that disease, and this person died who I knew. It's a place of misery. So you have an impetus, but at the same time, you have an opportunity. And especially because Lord Chaitanya appeared, Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya just a few years ago in recorded history, very rare. We have this great opportunity to practice the easy process of Sankirtan, chanting the holy name, singing the holy name, Still, there's only a maximum of 12 people who come to the evening arti, or maybe 15 on a good day, out of 4 million, who could come. Of course, we'd have to build a little bigger temple to accommodate everybody. You understand what I mean? Is that it's still very rare that someone understands the meaning. In the 11th canto, there's a wonderful verse. Well, first there's this key verse that everyone should know, at least be familiar with. Krishna varnam trisha krishnam sango pangasta parshadam yagyar sankirtana praya yajanti hisumedasa. This is a verse describing, in the Shastra, the divinity of Lord Chaitanya, which is an issue. Not everybody believes in him, They think, oh yes, he was a great devotee and a wonderful scholar. But to think that he's Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that you have to be blessed with the Acharyas in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. So, what does this verse say? It says, yes, in the age of Kali, there is a Yuga avatar. And here's the description. Krishna Varnam. What does that mean? Two things. This is by our acharyas. Varna can mean two things. It can mean, we know, like Varnashram, it can mean the class that you're in, the social class. Right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras, like that. So he's in the category of Krishna. And it also means, Varna means syllables. He's always singing the name, Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Krishna Varna, he's describing the avatar. Trisha Akrishnam, his complexion is Akrishnam. Now Krishna means dark, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bluish, right? That's it. So, but his complexion is not dark, it's golden, yellow. So his complexion is golden. And he's always chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Sa-anga upangasta parshadam. So he appears along with his angas. Angas means limbs. Limbs here means very, very intimate associates. Nityananda, the Panchatattva basically. As well as his upa-angas, those who are a little less intimate to him. He has a wide circle. You read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you see so many wonderful devotees described who were his associates, but they were intimate associates. And astra. Astra means weapons. Now there's different ways of interpreting this for Lord Chaitanya. Clearly, he doesn't have any chakra. He doesn't have the disc. He doesn't have Krishna's bow and arrows, or he doesn't have Ram's bow and arrows like that. What has he got? He's got, his hands are open. You can see him. So he has the holy names. So with those holy names, he's not annihilating the demons. He's annihilating the demonic mentality within everyone's heart. In this age, practically everyone is more or less a demon. Maybe not a heavy-duty demon, but But if that's destroyed by the process of chanting, then your natural devotion comes out. So that's what happened with Jagai Madai. He was ready to kill them because they drew blood from Nityananda. And Nityananda said, no. They represent everyone in this age. If you can deliver them, then you'll really be, the Mahabhadanaya, the most munificent. So he did. He forgave them, promising that, no more of their sins, and they promised and they became great devotees. So that's what we are. More or less everybody's demoniac in this age. It's so easy to get sucked into horrible, sinful activities, and nobody thinks twice about it. That means it's a very degraded age. But we can be purified and be made saintly by good association, by the chanting, by the discipline like that. So that's all coming from Lord Chaitanya. So that's his weapon, and his beauty is also a weapon. He disarmed so many Maya bodies, by his wonderful effulgence and like that. So the holy names and his instructions. Astaparsham. Now, how to worship him? The third line? Yagyar Sankirtana Prayar. The word prayar means mostly by congregational chanting of the holy name. That's the predominant sadhana that we have, always chanting, both congregationally or individually. Yajanta hi sumedasa. They worship him, those who are intelligent in this age. Now, a few verses after this, in the 11th canto, I forget the actual chapter and verse, it describes the importance of this Kali Yuga, of the Kali Yuga we now inhabit, and how fortunate we are. And this is Kaling Sabhajayantyaya Guna Gyasarabhagana Yatta Sangitane Naiva Sarva Swarto Bilabhyate. It says here that those who really know the value of things, the Aryans, those who can see the essence, they worship this Kali Yuga, the one in which Lord Chaitanya appeared. Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya. Because in this age, because of his influence, just by Sankirtan, the easiest process of bhakti, all of one's svartas can be achieved. What is a svarta? Svarta is broken into two, means the real goal of the soul. Rather than the goals of the body and the mind, we have so many desires to achieve, so many things we want to avoid. But the goal of the soul, what's really valuable, that you can achieve. And what's the goal of the soul? Go back home, back to Godhead. To break free of the round of birth and death, no more material bodies like this that are so restricting and painful. And to be reborn in our original spiritual body. This is called the Siddhi, what is it? Swarup Siddhi. This is Swarup, your own perfected form, which you all have, just according to how we want to serve Krishna. So that's there. We need to develop and let it manifest by the process of devotion. So all that is available in this Kali Yuga more than any other Kali Yuga, even previous Satya Yuga. This is more fortunate. And if we take advantage of Lord Chaitanya's incarnation and his teachings as is coming down to us so nicely through Srila Prabhupada and his books, then we can achieve the highest goal of life. So, and it begins with understanding the presence of Krishna everywhere, as we're learning here. All right, should I go on?
Yes.
Bijamam savabhutanam vidhi parta sanatanam buddhimatam asmi tejas vinamaham. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. Purport. Bija means seed. Krishna is the seed of everything. There are various living entities moving and inert. Birds, beasts, men, and many other living creatures are moving living entities. Trees and plants, however, are inert. They cannot move, but only stand. Every entity is contained within the scope of 8,400,000 species of life. Some of them are moving, and some of them are inert. In all cases, however, the seed of their life is Krishna, as stated in the Vedic literature, Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1.1. Yato vahimani bhutani jayante. Brahman, or the Supreme Absolute Truth, is that from which everything is emanating. Krishna is Parabrahma, the Supreme Spirit. Brahman is impersonal and Parabrahman is personal. Impersonal Brahman is situated in the personal aspect. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Brahmanohi pratishtaham. Therefore, originally, Krishna is the source of everything. He is the root. As the root of a tree maintains the whole tree, Krishna, being the original root of all things, maintains everything in this material manifestation. This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yobadadati kaman. He is the prime eternal among all eternals. He is the supreme living entity of all living entities, and he alone is maintaining all life. One cannot do anything without intelligence, and Krishna also says that he is the root of all intelligence. Unless a person is intelligent, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So, Bijam, this idea of the seed. So, it's often expressed how amazing Krishna is. That's the story Prabhupada would tell. I just heard it on a tape recently. Narada Muni is on pilgrimage somewhere, and he encounters a cobbler, a simple man is, the low occupation. But he's a devotee. And he's chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And he sees Narada Muni and says, "Oh, Narada, where are you headed?" And he said, "Oh, I'm going to Vaikuntha." And so he says, "Oh, could you ask Narayan when I'll be liberated?" He says, "Okay, no problem." So he goes a little further, and he meets a Brahmin. Brahmin chanting mantras, very austere and clean and everything. So he's also a bhakta. And the officers are based in Narada. He says, "Where are you headed?" "Oh, I'm headed to Vaikuntha." So, "Oh, could you ask Narayan when I'll be liberated?" So now he has these two assignments. So he gets up to Vaikuntha, and he asks the duly, he promised, I asked Narayan, after offering obeisances and everything. I encountered these two, who you know very well, he knows everything, the Brahmin and the cobbler. And they both want to know when they're going to be liberated. So Narayan says, "Oh, that cobbler, he's going back to Godhead after this life." So Narada was surprised, because the cobbler it's a low, occupation, dealing with dead skins all the time. He said, "Well, what about the Brahmin?" So the Brahmin, he's going to have to wait many lifetimes. Narada was surprised. It would seem that it would be the reverse. So he expressed his surprise to Narayan, and Narayan said, "Okay, you'll see why. You go back down and you tell them that you saw me putting an elephant through the eye of a needle, and you see and then you'll understand why I said what I said." So he goes all the way back down. First he meets the Brahmin, and he says, "Oh, Brahmin, did you ask? Did you ask?" And he said, "Yeah. He said that it was going to take you many lifetimes." He says, "Oh, that's too bad." He says, "And what was he doing? What was Narayan doing?" The Brahmin asked. "Oh, he was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle." He said, "What are you kidding me? You can't put an elephant through the eye of a needle. I don't believe you." He doubted it, that Narayan could do that. So then he goes to the cobbler, and the same thing, and the cobbler is very happy to hear that he's going back to Godhead. And so he asks, "Well, what was Narayan doing when you saw him? Tell me about it." He says, "Oh, he was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle." He says, "Oh, my Lord is so wonderful." And so Narada was surprised, how do you believe that? He says, "Oh, not a problem, it's so simple. And I'm sitting here under this banyan tree, and every year so many fruits come, and in each fruit there's so many seeds. And in each seed there's another banyan tree. So this banyan is producing thousands of fruits and millions of seeds every season, and producing so many trees. So if he can do that, out of that little seed, each little seed can come this huge banyan tree, which is so many other trees, then what's the big deal of him putting an elephant through the eye of a needle?" You see? So the cobbler had faith in the inconceivable powers of the Lord. And the Brahmin really didn't. He doubted. So this is the what the difference is. And so what Krishna has told us already, would stretch the credulity of people who are in the mundane frame of mind, who are always thinking, well, what's possible? Well, what's possible is amazing things that science has done. Like they just sent up this telescope now. You know that they finally had to throw out the whole Big Bang Theory after the latest telescope went up and saw all these, different things, galaxies here and there and everything. It doesn't compute anymore. They got new information. Yeah, I read about it. So that, people wonder about that. That's amazing. That's really amazing. But they don't believe that God is present in every atom, and that Vedaham samatita nivartamani, the simple verse in the Bhagavad Gita. I, says Krishna, I know everything that happened in the past. Everything? Everything. And everything that's happening now, and everything that will happen in the future. But me, no one knows. And that verse alone, people say, yeah, it's mythology. Nobody can know that. Everything that happened in the past is millions. But that's the mind-blowing power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yet, now we're coming up on this wonderful period of time called the Damodar month, right, Kartik, when we celebrate Krishna's baby Leela in Goloka Vrindavan and the Boma Vrindavan 5,000 years ago. When he hid all of that opulence, all of that amazing power, knowledge, everything, so that he could just appear as a mischievous little boy, admittedly all attractive, so that he could evoke the love, the eternal love of his mother and all of the other residents of Vrindavan. So this is Krishna. He's at the same time, he's more powerful than we can even possibly begin to conceive. But we have to have faith. Yes, you see. And at the same time, he is infinitely beautiful and charming and clever and the best joker and most delightful, and he plays the flute and all of these wonderful personal qualities that make him all attractive for every living entity. So that is inconceivable. So everything is inconceivable about Krishna. But that's where faith comes in. And what builds our faith? Associating with the faithful. And reading Prabhupada's books, the faith just shines right off every page. There's no question, well, it could be like this. Someone says like this, maybe it's like that. No, he's quoting from different authorities. He himself is saying it's like this. And Krishna himself is saying, yes, I am the Mattak Paratanananyat. There's nothing superior to me. So that with that faith, we can chant with sincerity. Yes, I'm actually calling on God. I'm not just sounding some sound, you know. I can go to some rock music, get better. No. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It helps to read about the real quality of the name that the great devotees are experiencing, because that's what we want to aim for. We may not make it in this one life, but we have to aim for it if we expect to make progress. The purity, so that you chant and you hear that one name and it just melts your heart and you feel the presence of Krishna. He appears before you, ultimately. That this can actually happen. All our great acharyas had that. We disbelieve. Why would they make up stories? You know what I'm saying? What's the point? Rupa Goswami, he undoubtedly wrote this verse, right? Tunde Tamanita the thing. I don't know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When I chant them, I want to have millions of mouths, I want to have millions of ears, and they enter my heart, and I become stunned in ecstasy. Is he making this all up? Why? What's the motive? He gave up billions of dollars in gold, gave it away. He already had that. Gave that up, became an absolute mendicant, more austere than we can imagine. You join the ashram, if you devotees join the ashram, and it can be pretty austere. You got to get up at a certain time and do these things, and you're dependent and everything. But that's nothing compared to what they did. There's no ashram in Vrindavan at that time. They gave up the highest position, the right and left hand of the king, with all facility at their disposal, in order to wander around Vrindavan, not even having their own tree that they lived under. They lived under a different tree each night, begging for food, hardly sleeping, hardly eating, and yet they were the wealthiest, much wealthier than they were. There's a nice verse about that. It says, Chakvatuna Mashesha Mandala Patishening Sada Tuchavat Bhutvadina Ganeshakau Karuneha Kaupina Kantashvito Gopi Bhavata Samatabdala Hari Kallola Magno Moho Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Shi Jiva Gopalako. I offer my obeisance to the 6 Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who, especially Rupa, Sanatana, and Raghunath, they gave up Chaktva immediately. As soon as they were inspired by Lord Chaitanya, they didn't think, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. No. Immediately, Ashesha Mandalapati, unending opulence and aristocracy and influence, they gave it up. Mandali Shreni Sada Tuchavat, as if it was insignificant, no more significant than a used tissue or something. Goodbye. And so Rupa Goswami, he had to liquidate his assets. So it described he had a whole boatload of gold, solid gold. You can imagine what it would be worth today. I mean, gold coins or something. So he divided it in 3. 50% he gave to the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas, to maintenance, just like to build temples and everything. 25% he gave to his relatives, otherwise they'd go nuts, So they gave, 25% he saved for an emergency, which came in handy. Remember what he did with that 25%? He gave it. He put it in. Now listen to this. He put it in the care of an honest grocer. An honest grocer? That's what it says. 25% of his multi-billion-dollar fortune he put in it. And what happened was that his brother, who was actually the prime minister, as far as I remember, Rupa was the finance minister. The prime minister, the king, said he didn't want him. He didn't let him quit. He arrested him when he found out that Sanatana Goswami was, what do they call it? Malingering. In other words, he was faking it being sick, and he was staying at home, and he was studying Bhagavatam all day with the Brahmins. He was just relishing Bhagavatam. So he sent his physician. The physician reported, he's not sick, he's doing fine. So the king himself comes, Nawab Hussain Shah. What's up? I want to go on a military campaign. I need you to manage the kingdom. I can't do it unless you... And so he said, I can't do it anymore. I just want to study Bhagavatam. He said, all right, arrest him. So he arrested him. He's in jail now. His brother is on his way to Vrindavan, but he left the 25% for it. So what happened was that, described in the CC, he's it's almost time. He's in jail, and there's Muslim were ruling, and so there's a Muslim guard, So he says, because he had been associated with them, so they believed him. Well, you're such a wonderful devotee of Allah, and I want to go to Mecca. He said, but I can't. I've been arrested. So here, you take these 8,000 gold coins, and you let me get out. He's bribing his way out. So he's afraid, I can't do it, and what happens if they catch me? So, okay, here's 10,000. And here's the plan. You just tell them that there's a river nearby, that I went to use the bathroom, and I jumped into the water, and they couldn't see me anymore. I must have drowned. Just tell them that. What is he going to do? So he let him out, and he started immediatly, walking toward Vrindavan. And there's a whole story about him. Eventually he was able to get to Banaras first. And he met Lord Chaitanya there, and for 2 months Lord Chaitanya taught him. And that was, and for Rupa Goswami he taught for 10 days, So the point was, well, what were this renunciation was going on, and how were they existing? They didn't live under the same tree, they had nothing to wear, they were sleeping an hour and a half a night, nothing. But they were always, at every moment, floating in the ocean of Gopi Bhava, the highest mellows of devotional service, and experiencing the highest ecstasy with nothing material. So we have to believe this. Now, we don't have to try to imitate them. We shouldn't try. But the point is that experience is real, and it's available to every single one of us, because we're all living entities, part and parcel of Krishna. So this should inspire us. Okay, it's real. Let me try my best to practice devotional service according to the tenets of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and try to go back to Godhead as soon as possible. And now Krishna we're going to be able to greet Krishna and have a nice kirtan. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. And we will resume tomorrow with 11. Thank you. Didn't get that far, sorry. Oh, Krishna. Haribol. And I want to thank our visitors both locally and remote for listening in tonight. Same station tomorrow, same time.